Hi guys, it's Erin and welcome back to my channel. I haven't filmed in quite a few weeks, so it feels weird to get back into the swing of things. But anyways, I have a very exciting video for you guys today. I have been working hard on a list of 10 things that you can do to become more eco-friendly as a pet owner. Now, I am not perfect by any means, but I do try to go green as much as possible and to be as eco-friendly as I possibly can, because it is so important for us to take care of Earth, since it's obviously where we all live. Now, being a pet owner, there's no way around it. Your pets are gonna produce waste. But there are some things you can do to help cut back on that waste and to be more eco-friendly. This list is not in any particular order at all. I'm not gonna say the first thing I say is the best thing you can do or anything like that. However, the very last item on my list is going to be, in my opinion, the biggest and the most important thing to be eco-friendly, to help save Earth, to just be responsible. So yes, you can cheat and scroll all the way through to if you want to see what my number one item is, but these other tips are important as well. Before I get started on this video, don't forget to hit that like button as well as subscribe to my channel so you can see when I have more videos coming out. And if you'd like, hit that notification bell down below so that you can be the first one to check out my new videos. So number one is probably the most glamorous, dog poop. So dog poop, obviously there's no way around it. If you're a dog owner, your dog poops. But what is important is making sure you clean up that dog poop. Dog poop can transmit diseases, parasites, and all kinds of things, not only to wildlife, but to other pets as well. If you do not know, parvo, which is a very deadly disease, is transmitted through dog poop, as well as other things as well. So by cleaning up after your dog when they go to the bathroom, you can help eliminate that spread of disease. If you live in a house, you guys are a little bit luckier where you can obviously use a pooper scooper to clean up the poop, rather than us that live in an apartment that probably has to use a bag to physically pick up the poop. So, by using a pooper scooper rather than bags, you are obviously cutting back on waste because you don't have any of that plastic being used over and over again. I mean, my dog poops 3 times a day, so I'm sure your dog poops at least once or more a day as well. So since I said I live in an apartment, so obviously I don't really have a pooper scooper that I can use. So we have the community, bags and trash cans to be able to use for our dog. But the problem is that's, like I said, a lot of plastic. So there are a few things you can do. They do sell biodegradable poop bags for dogs, which are obviously a much better option rather than the regular plastic. But the problem with biodegradable is what that means is the plastic that those poop bags are made out of are just going to break down smaller and smaller and smaller until they turn into microplastics. They don't 100% go away. So what I do is I buy these special poop bags that are actually made from cornstarch. So they're not made from plastic. Let me see if I can open it up and let you read one. Hopefully that's easy to read, but it says right on there it is made from cornstarch. So what that means is it breaks down much better than any sort of plastic or biodegradable poop bags. And that is a brand called Alpha Pet. I actually get them off of Amazon, and I'll put a link down below. Another thing I really like about that brand is their packaging is all made out of cardboard. So a lot of times when you buy poop bags at the store, they come in a clear plastic with a little bit of cardboard piece at the top. They hang on the hooks. But this is all completely cardboard box. And so that is another awesome thing about this brand. So next item, still staying glamorous, cat litter. So the traditional cat litter that most people use is made out of clay. In the United States alone, 2 million tons of clay are mined each year just for cat litter, which is a lot. Obviously that machinery and just the mining itself is not good for the environment. The clay takes a very, very long time to break down once your cat uses it and you throw it away. So there are a few different options that are better to switch out with your traditional clay litter. Some of the best options are recycled newspaper, pine pellets, wheat, and walnut cat litters. Now, I showed you in my other hedgehog bin cage videos and my CNC hedgehog cage that I use the recycled newspaper like pellets for my hedgehog for underneath her wheel. Now, my cats won't use any of the pellet litter like the pine or the newspaper. So instead I have to use like the walnut and the wheat because those are more of a sand-like consistency. I prefer the walnut because it does feel more like regular clay litter. So my cats are better at using that stuff and it's a little bit heavier than like the wheat litter is. But both the walnut and the wheat are both more of a sand-like consistency where they're really small pieces so the cats can easily cover up, you know, when they go to the bathroom. Any of those options are great alternatives to switch to because they are biodegradable and they will break down much easier than the regular traditional clay litter. Now, I do understand a lot of cats are super picky. I used to work at a pet store and we would have people come in all the time that says their cats will only use one litter and nothing else. And so if your cat will not use the litter box if you switch over, I totally understand. Sometimes there is nothing you can do about it because cats are picky. But if your cat is not picky, I really recommend at least trying out any of these biodegradable alternative cat litters to see if you like it and also help out Earth. Also, another note to add on to this one, using unscented cat litters are better for the environment than using traditional cat litters because of the perfumes and fragrances that they add into the litters. Now, this next one is for all of you fish, reptile, amphibian people out there, and that is lighting. In some instances, there's no way around it. You have to have heat, you have to have UVB, you have to have coral lights for certain, you know, species of animals. And a lot of times you can't switch it out for anything else. And I understand that. I have a bearded dragon, I have a blue-tongued skink, and obviously, especially my bearded dragon, requires very high wattage of heat. They require the tube, fluorescent UVB, and I can't exactly switch that out. But some things you can switch out. If you have a fish tank, especially if it's freshwater and you don't have anything crazy in there, it's just fish, or even if you're looking to get a fish tank, one thing that you can do is make sure you get LED lights over the traditional fluorescent or incandescent lighting that comes with some fish tanks. Although I think most tanks now are all LED, you can still buy some fluorescents, I believe. But anyways, LED lights not only use up less energy, but they also last much, much longer. My coral light on my 60-gallon saltwater tank is a LED light, and I've had that thing for 5+ years, and it's doing great. And I remember when I had my freshwater tank, I had fluorescent lighting because that's what came with it. And I had to change out the bulbs every maybe 2 years or so because they would end up burning out or even breaking, which luckily none of mine broke, but it is a possibility. Another thing with the lights, especially if you have multiple animals like I do, is setting your lights on a timer. I have all of my reptiles on a timer. It not only keeps your lighting schedule more regular for your animals, which is better for them, it also keeps it so that you're not wasting or overusing energies. Because if you're one of those people that wakes up at 6, 7 a.m., you automatically turn on the lights and then you don't turn them back off until you go to bed at like 10 p.m., that's 15 or so hours that the lights are on. Usually a lot of people do a 12-hour on, 12-hour off cycle. So if you do a timer, you can keep it on a certain cycle so you're not using up much energy. And of course, another thing with the lighting you can do, and this one is so simple, if you're getting your pet out to play with, I know especially those people with bearded dragons, they like to hang them out on their shoulder while they're doing homework or watching TV. And if that tank is empty, you could just turn off those lights. The tank is not in use, so there's no reason to have those lights on. So if you just switch off those lights for however long you have your bearded dragon or other animal out, that's less energy that you are going to be using. And now I know a lot of people would be concerned about the tank getting too cool. But really, it's not that big of a deal. Those lights in the tanks usually heat back up pretty quickly when you go to put your lizard or other animal back. Or if you are still concerned, you can always turn the lights back on maybe 5 to 10 minutes before returning the animal to its home. Next thing is using reusable or washable bedding for animals that it is appropriate for. Now, generally, you're not going to use like tile for a blue-tongued skink, but you can use tile for a bearded dragon if you wanted to. You wouldn't use fleece for a hamster, but you can use fleece for guinea pigs and rabbits. And so by using reusable bedding like that, not only can you just wash it down and reuse it, so with fleece you can throw it in the washer, or with tile you can just wipe it down, but you're not throwing out bedding each week or how often you clean the cage. Now, like I said before, if you have something like hamsters or gerbils, you're not gonna use flat bedding, because obviously it's important to provide real bedding for animals that like to burrow and dig, but for animals that don't necessarily require it, you can use those alternatives. So not only are you not throwing away the dirty bedding just to be sent to a landfill, but when you do have reusable options, you're not purchasing the packaging that the bedding comes in. Because if you ever buy Carefresh or Aspen, they come in that plastic wrapped packaging. And so that's another thing that is obviously not good for the environment, is that plastic. So you will be avoiding that as well. This next one is super easy, as well as will end up saving you money. If you are obviously not of age, make sure you get a parent for this one. But that is buying things secondhand. You can go to Goodwill, garage sales, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. There's all kinds of ways for you to buy secondhand now. And one of the most popular things for people to get rid of is pet supplies. At Goodwill alone, I have seen dog kennels, reptile/fish tanks, decorations, cages, all kinds of stuff like that. So if you are looking to get a new pet or upgrade your pet, one thing I recommend doing is searching those different places that I listed to find secondhand items. Because not only is it going to save you money because you're buying these items secondhand, you are also going to prevent these items from being sent to a landfill, and you'll be avoiding all the crazy packaging like the plastic wrap and the cardboard and the styrofoam that brand new items usually come with. But like I said, if you're like a teenager, I know a lot of people that watch my channel are teenagers or younger, please don't be going on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and meeting people on your own. Let your parents help you with that one. Next item is opt for real decor over fake decor. What I mean by that is if you have reptiles, I recommend researching plants that will not only fit like what climate those reptiles come from, but research plants that are safe for the reptiles to be living with. So, you know, obviously you're not going to be putting like cactuses in with a tropical animal like maybe a crested gecko. And you're also not going to be putting plants that are harmful like maybe pothos in with a tortoise that could eat them. Doing research and finding plants that are appropriate for your animal to be living with is awesome, because not only are you avoiding the plastic vine plants or whatever stuff people usually buy, but you'll be using plants that are obviously more natural, good for the environment, help clean the air. Or if you have an animal that does eat plants, like I said, a tortoise or a bearded dragon, you can find plants for them to actually eat and plant those in their tank or in their setup for them to interact with and have a little bit of like a foraging moment. And the same goes for things such as logs and rocks and sticks and stuff like that. Just make sure if you do take stuff from outside, it's from an area that's not treated by pesticides, not protected land in any way. And if you're not doing bioactive and you don't want like bugs or anything crazy in your tank, make sure you sterilize those things before adding them into your tank with your animals. Next one is don't throw away produce waste. And obviously there's certain things that you cannot feed to your animals, such as like onions and garlics and stuff like that. But if you're making dinner and you have maybe the bottom of like your head of lettuce, or you have maybe the tops of carrots or the tops of strawberries, and it's stuff that you generally won't eat yourself and you're gonna throw away, if you have an animal that can eat those things, why not just feed them off to them? So when I had my rabbit, he ate like all of our scraps. Anything that was, of course, safe for rabbits, I would throw it in there. And if it was something super sweet like a strawberry top, obviously I would limit how much he got. But I would throw, you know, stuff in there in his little room for him, and he would just eat them right up. He absolutely loved it, and it prevents that stuff from going in the garbage. I also touched on this when I made my raw feeding video, when I talked about how I raw fed my dog. what I do is I have these little ice cube trays, and what I do is I take vegetable scraps, or sometimes I even buy vegetables put in there if I don't have enough scraps, and I blend them up with some bone broth and I pour it into the ice cube trays and freeze them. And sometimes I throw him in with his meals, and sometimes I give it to him as like a treat. Because my dog will not eat vegetables. I mean, some vegetables he will, but most vegetables he won't eat on his own. So that's why I blend it up with the bone broth and freeze it, because not only is it a yummy treat for him, but in the summertime, it's a great way to cool down your pet if you wanted to do something like that. It's like a little popsicle for dogs. My next thing is adopting a pet from your local shelter, and also spay and neutering your pet. So by doing this, you're helping by clearing out shelters and reducing the pet overpopulation issue that we are having right now. But when the shelters are not as full, that is less resources that they need to help take care of those animals and keep the shelter running. So it's less medical supplies because they don't have to spay and neuter as many animals or deal with as many sick animals. It's less food, less bedding, less everything that they need to run the shelter. So if you adopt a pet rather than purchasing from a breeder, you are, believe it or not, helping the environment and helping your community. All right, so we're getting to the end. This one's another super easy one, and it's one that I don't think a lot of people even think about. I never even thought about this before either. I did some research before I made this whole list, and this was something that I had never thought about, and I'm really glad I learned about it, and it'll definitely influence me in the future. But that is buying eco-friendly toys. And I know you might be like wondering what the heck that even means. If you're buying your rabbit a toy, buying something that's made out of wood, hay, twine, rope, whatever, rather than buying plastic toys. And same with your dogs and cats. Buying, I know they have, especially for cats, they have a lot of toys that are made out of like twine and burlap over regular like plastic or regular fabric. Buying toys like that is obviously better than for the environment because it is less plastic. And when your animal does either, destroy the toy or they don't want it anymore and you go to throw it out, you can know that that toy will break down so much faster than any plastic or rubber toy ever would out in a landfill or wherever it ends up. And another thing on this topic is DIY toys. So we've seen all kinds of videos out there. You can Google them on YouTube. There's tons of toys that you can make at home for your pets, such as, simple toilet paper roll toys where, I've seen for rabbits, people just stuff hay in there and the rabbits go nuts. You can take old t-shirts that you might throw away, cut them up, braid them, and turn them into like a rope toy for either your cat or your dog. Stuff like that. Just using stuff around the house where you can make a toy for your pet rather than throw that item away. It really doesn't have to be that complicated. Animals are usually pretty easily entertained by whatever you give them. So doing stuff like that is an awesome way to cut back on your environmental impact. And like I said, this is something I had never really thought of before. And when I go shopping for toys, which actually my cats need more toys now, I'll be a little bit more conscious about what I'm actually buying. Okay, now for the very last item, and I told you that this was going to be the biggest one, and I promise it is. Not only is it the biggest, but it's also the most controversial. For whatever reason, people do not like this one, and they do not want to convert over. They do not want to follow it. They want to stick with their ways, and it's destroying the environment. It is destroying the environment so bad. And that is keep your cats inside. Yeah, super simple. Keep your cats inside. Don't let your cats go outside. Cats kill worldwide up to 3.7 billion birds and 20 billion mammals each year. Yeah. Most of the time they don't eat them, they just kill them for fun and games. I think cats end up actually eating 25% of their kills. The rest of them they just kill and leave. So obviously that is super wasteful, but it's also taking an innocent life for no reason. Cats are actually considered an invasive species because there are so many cats out there that people have just as pets that they let in and outside. They have cats that are pets that are specifically outside cats. They have barn cats, they have feral colonies, all kinds of stuff like that, and they breed like crazy. And this kind of goes back to the spay and neuter thing too. There are a lot of organizations that do what's called TNR, which is trap, neuter, release, where they trap feral cats to fix them and then they release them back out in the wild. That way the animal does not have to be put down, but it cannot continue to reproduce and cause these feral colonies to get bigger and bigger. Cats have caused many extinctions of species, and I know certain countries, such as I believe it's New Zealand, are not even allowing people to have cats as pets anymore because it has gotten so out of control. I think this happened maybe a year ago. Like I said, I believe it's New Zealand. They made it a law that you can no longer go out and buy or breed cats in that country. If you already have a cat, you're grandfathered in. They're not going to make you get rid of your cat or anything, but you can't get another cat after that because it has gotten so out of control. And I know people say that cats are wild, cats are supposed to be able to roam and hunt and kill and stuff like that. But the thing is these are domestic cats, and they're not meant to go out and do that. Domestic cats are not native to Colorado, where I live. So them going out and killing whatever they want is devastating, and it's not natural. It's not meant to happen. If you really, really do want to make your cat an indoor-outdoor cat, or you refuse to keep your cat inside because you think it's cruel, then there are other alternatives. I have actually seen people who completely barricade their backyard. Like they'll put netting or they'll put coyote rollers at the top of their fence in their backyard so their cat can't jump out of the backyard. They build outdoor catios, which I think are amazing. I would love a house with a catio someday. Or they take, like I do, they take their cats outside on leash. That way the cat can hang out outside, experience being outside, and have fun, but in a safe manner. That way they're not roaming around, getting other cats pregnant, getting pregnant themselves, or killing other animals. And like I said, like people, for whatever reason, people just don't care or they don't see the impact. But if you don't believe me, I urge you to do the research yourself. Keeping your cats or letting your cats go outside is just, it's not good. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for the native species. And I urge you to please find other alternatives if you really do want to keep your cat or let your cat go outside. All right, guys, that's the list. That is 10 items that you can do as a pet owner to be more eco-friendly. Some of these things I was already doing in my own personal life, like the dog poop bags and, some other things. But there are also some things that I even learned myself, like the eco-friendly toys that I'd never really even thought about before. So I hope this video educated you and gave you some ideas on what you can do to become more green in your own household with your pets. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you guys next time.